Liftoff and the clock has started.
This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy each and every time. Hey everyone, welcome back to Timeless Spirituality. I'm your host, Daniel the Past Life Regressionist. Today's episode, it's simply about letting go. My question for you is there anything in your life that you need to let go of? And if so, are you ready to let go? If anyone would like to book a session with me, you can reach me on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist or my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. So for now, enjoy episode number 7, The Gift of the Crying Vacation. Tangie, thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
So before we dive in, you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure. And thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Well, my name is Tangie, and I am a certified coach and consultant. And on social media platforms, you might find me under the handle, The Feel Good Expert. I really try to model my life and all of my interactions with my clients around doing what makes you feel really good.
Well, thank you for that. My very first question is generally one of, well, with a preface, saying that I always tell my clients to never really go in with any expectations. With that said, was the past life regression what you thought it would be?
No, not at all.
Awesome. Okay.
No, not even a little bit. Nope.
I think that sums it up pretty well.
Yep.
My next question for you is, why did you want to have a past life regression?
Well, I mentioned that I call myself the Feel Good Expert, and it was a series of life events that kind of led me to that discovery around what it means to feel good and what it means to be in touch with your internal compass and your own guidance. So I had already I was a stay-at-home mom to my kids, and I was on a little bit of a path, and I was married. I was on a path of kind of just looking for more out of life. And my husband and I had been, thinking about what we might be doing in the future. And we had been looking at houses. And one day after we had gone out and looked at, a new build community nearby and kind of talked about the potential of living there, we were in bed, kind of having pillow talk at the end of the night. The kids were asleep, and I was talking about how I really trusted and believed in this premise of doing what makes you feel good and really trusting your inner guidance and following your soul wants you to do, and doing that by listening to your emotions and listening to what you're feeling and listening to what lights you up. And he said, "Do you really believe that?" And I said, "Absolutely." And that's when he let me know that he had fallen in love with someone else. And I mean, existential crisis, right? That is the moment where I had to really reflect and question, do I actually really believe this? Because what he's telling me hurts. But at the same time, what he's telling me is that he is doing what makes him feel good. So what does it mean? And what are the caveats? And what is this discovery that I've made? And am I going to stick with it, through this whole process? And so I definitely had my dark night of the soul. It was very traumatic. Like I said, I was a stay-at-home mom, didn't have any income, hadn't worked in a long time. I was really invested and hands-on with my kids, and I didn't know what it was going to mean to accept this discovery and or move on with my life without him, because, like I said, he had fallen in love with someone else. So I did all of the things to really understand and process what was going on and why. I had my Akashic records read. I talked to, I don't even know how many astrologers, and I don't even know how many times. And I talked to friends, and I hired a coach. And I just did everything in my power to heal and become whole and to gain clarity. I worked with my coach for almost 6 months. And that was one of the main things that I said to her. I just want to get clear. I just really want to understand what's happening. Like, what is going on? What is my path? What is my purpose? What is the universe trying to tell me, and why? And so I finally got to a point where I felt pretty healed and clear. And I really understood what I was here to do. And I really did come back to, I really do believe that we should do what makes us feel good because I believe that's the language of the universe. And I really do honor, my kid's dad and his path and him doing what he feels is good and best for him. But I wanted to understand more deeply what was the agreement between us. Like this had to have some kind of karmic pattern or agreement behind it. There had to be more than just the interaction that he and I had in this lifetime. And I wanted to understand that more deeply. And I really thought by that time I had let go of, any hard feelings or any shame and blame. And through doing the regression, I learned that, I still did have more healing to do. I was really staying up in my head a lot about understanding what had happened and processing through my grief and creating a new life for myself. But through the regression, I was really able to kind of go deeper, have a different perspective, and give some space for my emotions to really live and not just stay in those thought patterns that I had been in up until that point.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing and just being so open and vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a vulnerable topic still, but since the regression, I feel like a completely different person.
Yes.
And it's all thanks to you.
Well, I was just there and asking questions. It was all you. You did all the heavy lifting.
It is. And I think people, and I didn't understand this going in. I think you don't understand that, like, it is up to you to do the heavy lifting. You really have to show up for it. You have to experience it. You've got to be curious about it. And then you've got to be able to do something with the knowledge that you've gained from the experience and take the steps necessary for your healing.
Do you mind if I borrow that? Because I like the way that you put that right now. Because when I do it, it's a little more hard, maybe not harsh, but I'm just like, look, I'm not a miracle worker. I'm just the guy who asks the questions. It's about the information that you get, and then it's up to you what you decide to do with it. So I like the way that you said it much better.
Please take whatever you need. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. Yeah, you definitely had a much more gentle touch there.
We have to be gentle with ourselves. And I mean, that's honestly how I learned was honoring myself and my path and my journey and even those hard experiences by saying, like, this is what I chose and this is what was meant to happen and it's all okay.
With regards to this is what I chose, I think this is something that I've been seeing pop up very frequently, or at least in my circles, is when it comes down to choice. Just because we choose these things, does that mean that we cut ourselves slack for it? What's your feeling on that?
Just because we choose things doesn't mean we cut ourselves slack.
When I say that,
That's
I
an
mean,
interesting question.
right, that it's surrendering to the fact that this was a choice that we made, or do we do something about it?
I mean, I think surrender is the right word. It really allows you to say, like, yeah, this was what was meant to be. I don't have to have regret. I don't have to look at my life as a mistake. I don't have to shame and blame myself forever and say, I did something wrong. It's the empowerment to say, like, this was my choice. And it brings the power back into your body and says, yes, I chose this. Yes, I wanted to have this experience. And now who am I? What did I learn? Where do I go from here? And what will I choose next?
Thank you for that perspective. You're really good at this.
Well, I appreciate the compliment.
I mean, you're just giving me lots of nuggets to work with here. So thank you. So with regards to your past life regression, you want to recap the experience?
Wow. It would probably take me half an hour to accurately recap the whole thing. But I will say, like, in the briefest terms, I was able to really surrender. That word is coming up again. When I went in, I had the expectation that it was going to be like a light switch, right? Like that snap your fingers and you're hypnotized and, you don't have to do anything else. The work is done for you. And that's not what it was like at all. It was definitely very supported and guided. And I was there and present for the whole experience, but I still never knew what was coming next. So it was exciting and also challenging at the same time. I was able to visit two of my past lives, one of which I had an interaction with my kid's dad, which is what I really wanted and needed from the experience. So I was grateful for that. The second one was kind of more of a solo journey, and I learned a lot from that as well, and really learned ways that applies in this current lifetime. And my very favorite part was when we called in my guide to kind of recap the whole experience for us.
That was something.
It was just profound and life shifting, earth shattering stuff. And it was just amazing to just hear things so melodically and metaphorically and with such grace and ease and without any judgment of anyone at all. It was just, even to be in your body and have that experience of unconditional love and wisdom and lightness and ease. It was just, like if I could sell that as a drug, I would be well off right now. It was great. So yeah, the first life I interacted with my kid's dad in more of like a professional sense, where we were in a meeting at the same time. I don't know, I would guess like 1,000 years ago, probably somewhere near Egypt, but I don't know exactly when or where, but just from the context. And that was really interesting, because when the guide reflected on it, I didn't like him in that lifetime, and I thought he was stupid. He really annoyed me. And the guide said, yeah, I couldn't show you anything else, because that is the perspective that you have now. That is the lens through which you see. And so that is what I'm able to give you. And I thought, wow, amazing, right? Like, of course, that makes complete sense. And that is what I'm doing. And it is really time to let go and honor that we have been on many paths together. And I don't just have to hold on to the ones that are angry and unfulfilling and hurtful and traumatic. I can expand my scope. And if I choose to get another regression, or if I do it myself, I can see us in other lights and in other ways. And it was really true of this current life. I really still have a hard time bringing up any good memories, right? Because it still hurt. And so when I'm able to heal myself to that point where I can say, like, I'm not going to keep suppressing what is good in favor of holding on to what is bad, I have access to all things past and present that are good. But when I hold on to things that are really hard and bad and traumatic, that's what I get a little more of. So that was profound and that was amazing. And then I had a lifetime where I was a professional somewhere near Germany, probably not that long ago, within the past 200 years. And I was really successful and I was lonely. And that was something that I was really dealing with in this lifetime also, like trying to understand, how do I balance stepping out on my own, making my own money, making an impact, having a career, having a legacy, and also having two small children that rely on me for everything. And also having parents and also having friends, right? And other parts of my extended family. How do I do all of this? I really feel called to focus on my career and legacy, but I feel like I have to sacrifice in order to do that. And the guide was so wise to just really share that life is a journey of balance. And that's what this lifetime is. I already had the lifetime where I decided to forego all of my relationships and be alone in order to have success. I already did that and I don't need to do that again. This time I can have both. And I was like, wow, just what a relief and a release to say, like, yeah, I don't have to be a household name. I don't have to be a professional anything. I can be successful. I can have a legacy. The right people will remember me for the right things, and it's all okay. And also my kids will really feel supported and loved by their mother their whole life. And also my parent will really feel supported and loved by me and my friends. And I can really have both. So that was amazing. And that's just like a tip of the iceberg of the things that my guide shared. And it was just so profound and uplifting. And like I said, just the embodied experience of it all. I wish I could bottle it. I do.
Well, I definitely want to touch on the higher self portion, but before we jump in there, I do have a question for you regarding what you saw in the first life. And please correct me if I'm mistaken here. It was like a table that you were sitting around or something, right? You were in a room
Yeah.
and there were decision makers there.
That's correct. And I don't think I shared this with you, but yes, it was, we were talking about an invasion, right? The word specifically invasion came up, and I didn't know who was invading who, right? But I knew that we were making decisions that would put at risk the young people of our village. And it was a big deal. And I was really frustrated because the leader of the room, which happened to be my husband in this lifetime, was really gung ho for going out there. And I talked to him after the fact because he had done a regression himself, but we weren't together at that time. So he didn't really follow up with me about it. I just knew that it had happened. And I mentioned my experience to him, and he said, "Oh my gosh, in my regression, I was invading another country, and I had a very clear visual of me stabbing and killing someone with a sword during an invasion, and it was traumatic to me." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I was trying to stop you." And it was so weird for that to parallel in that way. Like I had no idea. I had no idea going into my regression that he had had that experience at all. Like we talk, but we talk about the kids. Like it's not super often that we talk on deeper levels or even on a friendly like we're friendly, we're amicable, but we're also both really very busy people and both self-employed. And of course, like I said, we have the kids to tend to. And when he told me that, it just blew my mind. I was like, wow, the coincidence of that we would both have regressions, and we would, out of all of the lifetimes, we would both go back to the same one around the same time. Crazy.
Yeah, I'm sitting here right now just thinking, of course that would happen. Even though like I admittedly did not facilitate that other regression, so I had no idea about that, just like you said. But of course that would happen. Of course you guys would have overlapping ones, because why wouldn't you? Because that's just what ends up happening. Like,
right.
It's these little things that, yeah, right? They're so mind-blowing, but then I'm like, you know what? It's just another Tuesday. That's just what happens when this.
It's the affirmation. It's also the ease of saying, well, yeah, of course. That is what happens. You did have this life together. Who said you didn't? Right.
Right. It's like you guys didn't coordinate that beforehand.
It's affirming, but it didn't need to be affirmed because it is. It just is.
I think it's the dynamics that are at play, because you two were married in this life, but you weren't in that life, correct?
Right. Correct. We were both men. Wouldn't have been acceptable.
So I think what's really interesting about that is how you guys came back to be spouses in this life when that wasn't even on the radar in that life. Now, that also doesn't mean that it didn't happen in other lives that you didn't visit because you didn't need to see them at the time. But what parallels, other than, I think you brought up the word stupid, other than that, sorry, were there any other parallels that you saw that needed to be resolved in this life?
Yeah. So in that lifetime, I guess I was invited to that table because I was an elder of the village. So like a wise person. I remember very specifically saying, yeah, I have gray hair. I know that I'm older. And he wasn't. He was younger than me in that lifetime. And but he was still in charge, right? Like he was very commanding and very aggressive and, even to the point of like a little bit angry, and just really took up a lot of space, right? And it was kind of like my way or the highway, the sense that I got from that lifetime. And I wouldn't say that it's exactly the same in this lifetime by any means. Definitely he's been on his own journeys and, surely been many people. But in our relationship, there was definitely an element of control. And even for me, like I played into that same element by allowing him to be in charge, by saying, no, I don't need to work. No, I don't need to do anything else with my life. Sure, you take care of that. Yeah, you take care of that. Yeah, you make the decisions. And it's nice, right? Like there's a lot to be grateful for, to say like, yeah, I could stay home with my kids and I didn't have to work and I didn't have to worry about money. But there's also an aspect of it, if you're not careful, where you just give all of your power away. You give all of your power away to another person and you allow them to make all of the decisions, and you don't activate that, authority within yourself, and you kind of turn off your inner wisdom and your guidance and your intuition, and you don't come to the relationship whole. And then the relationship inherently becomes very flawed. And so the essence of how he was in that lifetime was definitely a match to this lifetime as far as playing into the dynamics of one person being in charge and one person just kind of being along for the ride. I had opinions in my head and I was, kind of rolling my eyes in the background. But in that meeting that I was invited to, I did not take a stand or speak up as far as I know. I was just whispering to the people next to me and saying, wow, this is so stupid, but still allowing it to happen. Whereas if I would have been in my power, maybe I would have saved some lives. I don't know. I know he definitely murdered someone in his invasion, but that dynamic had to show up again for me to be able to step into my power. And I don't know what his journey is, and I don't know what is shifting for him, but I know that it will. And I know that it's not for me to control. So that was, it's a great question, because absolutely the dynamics, they just keep repeating until you figure it out.
Well, thank you for that. So the higher self portion. I mean, I just want to start off by saying, I liked your higher self. Like, I like all of them. They all have a certain flair to them, but I really liked yours.
Me too.
Right. Then maybe it's my ego speaking, because your higher self did come forward and say some really nice things about me.
It did.
Unprovoked. It just happened. So maybe your higher self was just trying to get on my good side, stand out from all the others. And if so, it worked. And I think what was really cool about yours also was you were pretty much checked out.
Yeah.
You were pretty much checked out. And there was a different cadence that really came over your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you also brought up the word, like, it was very melodic. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Right. There was a shift that happened, and there was just such a beautiful feeling that came along with that. So let's talk about that experience for you in having the higher self come forward.
Yeah. I mean, I was aware, right? Like I was awake and coherent and cognizant. And I was even kind of like chuckling to myself when you were asking questions to my guide, my higher self, and getting those responses. And it was just really interesting to be there. But like you said, I felt my whole body shift. Like I felt my head cocked to the side. And I definitely noticed the change in the cadence, even like a little bit of an accent, which, to be honest with you, shocked me. Like I did not see that coming, because when we were in the regression and I'm talking about my own past lives, that wasn't there. But the moment that we invited the guide in and he said yes, like it just was an instantaneous switch. And I thought that was so fascinating. And that's also the moment where I felt that embodiment of that shift in my energy, and that feeling of being held, and that feeling of just having the essence of something really lovely taking up my whole aura. And it felt so good. And I was checked out as to where, like, I was awake and I know I could have used my body or turned it off at any time, but I was just there like, this is fascinating. This is the best stuff I've ever heard. Like Tangie is in her body listening and going, this is the greatest, but no words, right? And I don't interject at all. I'm just there. And it's so funny that even my own brain is still firing and saying, wow, that was really good, right? But I'm not saying it out loud because I'm listening to the guide talk and it's happening simultaneously. Mind blowing.
When I go through the process myself, the way that it feels for me is just like you said, there's an awareness. Like we're still there. We still know what's going on, but it's almost as if I see myself off to the side in a room, jumping up and down saying, I'm over here. I'm over here. I'm over here. I'm still here. I'm over here. I'm over here.
Yeah.
So that's how it feels.
Look at me.
Exactly.
Talk about me. Mention me.
Why are you saying that? Why are you saying that? It's like when my higher self comes forward, there'll be a lot of times when it'll basically say, he doesn't want us to say this right now. Like he doesn't want us to say this. He doesn't want to hear it. Like he doesn't. Yeah. But still, right. I'm off to the side. Like, oh, over here. I'm over here. Don't say it. Don't say it. Please don't say it. Because I think when it's said in my mind, as I'm over and off to the side, jumping up and down, I'm like, oh boy, then I'm going to have to follow through, because that's why I'm yelling, don't say it. Because the second that it comes out of my mouth, I have to hold my feet to the fire and I have to hold myself accountable.
exactly right. And that's a powerful visual because that's how I felt. Like I felt like I had an empty skull and a little tiny me was just standing inside of that dark skull, like, ooh, that's interesting. And he would say, well, I know she doesn't like this, but, and I would roll my eyes, right? Like, well, okay, then leave me alone. Well, then don't say it and leave me alone. Okay, just let me be. But came out anyway out of my own mouth, which you're absolutely right. It's fascinating and also very comical.
It's like, it's interesting when it comes through, because for me personally, also, when I speak as Daniel, I speak very lingered sometimes because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next. I'm going to plan 10 steps forward. So I may pause here and there. But when my higher self comes in, it's just like, he just doesn't shut up. And this and that, and this and that, and blah, 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 this and that. He doesn't want me to say this right now. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's how it pretty much happens for me. But yours was really cool.
I would love to hear your higher self talk. I just want to say that first off. But yeah, like I'm listening to, I call him my guide. I'm listening, and I think it's a him. In my mind, I've created this visual of like an older man with a square jaw and a beard, and he's just beautiful and amazing.
Does he have a staff too?
I don't think he did. That you bring that up because my son has a staff that he likes to carry around everywhere. And we talked about how my son in other lifetimes is kind of following me around in the non-physical. But yeah, I have this vision of him kind of like even older than George Clooney, but George Clooney-esque and just very like kind and beautiful and nice. And I'm just like this very naive young person that's just excited to hear everything he has to say. It's fascinating. And as we were listening to him talk, like you said, like I wouldn't talk that way. He would pause and he would say, and just take time to process and fill the space with the information that is needed, and then just stop. And I thought, wow, if only I could talk that way. So it's interesting to hear the contrast, between who we are and how our higher selves show up.
Right. I think that there's a difference in our speech patterns at that point. I mean, look, at least for me, I guess I can only speak on my behalf. It's because I scrutinize it so much as it is. Because like I know the process and I know how this works, this and that. I'm on the other side of it almost every day. So how do I know I'm not putting on a show right now? Mm-hmm. Well, I can't think that quickly when I'm not in that higher self space. So I think that's some of the reason why it comes through differently too, because it's the closest thing to proof that something else is speaking through me. Mm-hmm. And it only happens when I allow it to happen too, because even what I'm saying to myself, when I'm being counted into that space, in my head, I'm saying, let this happen, allow this to happen right now, allow this to happen. You need to allow this to happen. If we don't allow it to happen, it's not going to. Like, I think that's the beauty of the process as well, is we have such control over it that if we are really resisting, nothing is going to take us over. Nothing is going to happen. We really need to allow it to happen.
Yeah, it's a choice. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely a choice. You kind of get what you put into it. And if you surrender and allow it to happen and give space, honestly, for something else other than your ego and your logical mind, then it's there. It's always there.
Right. And something I don't think that I mentioned to you is when the messages came through for me, I believe that there was more than one. But the one that sticks out in my mind is your higher self said, we're all watching you, and you being me, we're very appreciative of the work that you're doing. This came through unprovoked. Lisa says, I don't remember asking any questions about that. Like, I think it just came up during the middle of the session, right? Was that how it happened?
I don't remember. I know that you asked if there were any messages for you specifically at some point. And
that was at the very end.
Right.
Yeah. But then I think they came through again. It was earlier.
Yeah, it must have been related to something that came up. And it was just kind of like, also, I think he was talking about me and what I'm doing. And he was just like, also, you're doing great. And we really are watching you. And, thank you for what you're doing. And it was really good.
Yeah, that's how it happened. Sorry, because I'm like, oh my God, did I bring that up earlier? Did I ask him? Like, no.
No, it was like an acknowledgement, right? It's like an acknowledgement when you're in a room full of people and you're looking at one person and you're telling them you're so amazing and you're so great and thank you for doing this, and then another person is just kind of standing there and you're like, oh, by the way, I know that you're here too, and I acknowledge what you're doing, and I just want you to know that I see you as well. It just kind of came in that way, but it was so much clearer and than the way that I'm explaining it. But it was just kind of like talking about me and my path, and it's like, by the way, Daniel, I see you too, and what you're doing means something. And I was like, wow. And here I am, like in the corner of my brain listening, going, wow, yeah, I totally agree. Yes, keep talking. Tell him what I like this because he's doing something for me and I like it.
Well, I mean, first off, thank you for that. And thank you for being that vessel, because what I didn't mention to you is I go through periods where I question what I'm doing and that if I'm on the right path. And I ask myself very often, what difference am I making in the world? Am I really making a difference? Even though there's that other voice that comes in right away. It says, of course you are. Because you're there. You're doing something because you're there. But it came up in one of those junctures for me where, like, am I really doing something meaningful with my life? And then that message came through. It's fascinating to me that somehow they know. Like, they're all working together. They know when they need to come through, when they need to deliver a message. And I mean, I thank you for being the messenger for that one, because I needed to hear that.
Wow. And see, Tangie had no idea. Tangie thinks you're over there in LA living your best life. And I'm just like, cool. Yeah, he should know that. That's absolutely true. But wow, thank you for sharing that. That really means a lot that I was able to partake in that in any way to give you an acknowledgement and appreciation for what you do. And Tangie feels that way too. By the way, I'm talking about myself in third person, so we know who the guide is and who isn't. But yeah, I mean, it was an amazing experience for me. And you know the story of how I ended up with you. I was offered, my kid's dad offered to do a regression with me for free because he's gone through the training. And I said yes, and then I said no. And I said, if this is meant for me, the universe is going to provide it, and I don't have to do something that makes me uncomfortable, and I don't have to do this regression with someone that I don't want to just because it's free. If it's meant to be, it's going to happen. And I think you saw, I posted on my birthday, on my 37th birthday, here's what I want this year. I want a past life regression reading with Daniel. And I think I said I wanted an astrology reading or a human design. I wanted a human design reading and I wanted a past life regression. And I just left it. The universe is going to provide it. And it was a lesson for me to say, like, the universe provides, and I don't have to accept every invitation that comes through. So my kid's dad offered it to me. I really sat with it. I trusted my intuition. I said, I just really don't feel comfortable. And it doesn't feel safe for me to say whatever comes up with someone that I've been in close relationship with. I'd rather be, someone that I don't know. And I could just really say whatever comes to mind in the moment. And I've never done it before, and I don't know what's going to happen. And so I told him no, and I let it go. I didn't do anything else about it. And my friend, I had referred her to you, and she just couldn't get the scheduling down. And she texted me, and this was within like a few hours. And she said, hey, can I gift my regression to you? And I said, why, yes, you can. Thank you. You are a wonderful, beautiful, amazing person. And I really appreciate this affirmation from you. And she did. And the universe delivered, and I was able to practice my discernment in that moment and still be affirmed in that. I mean, it was a lesson within itself. So I went into the regression, on cloud 9, right? Like, this just came to me. The universe provided it. It's meant to be. I'm going to, acknowledge and accept anything that comes through. And it was amazing. It definitely created a shift and an impact and a new perspective for me. And so it's great to hear that, you also received something from it. And yes, I definitely felt the love that my guides have for you.
Oh, thank you for that.
She's amazing. And I hope she still does it. I think maybe this was the universe's way of saying it's going to be available to you when you're ready for it. And I'm going to whisper in your ear, tell me when she calls you, and don't let her pay you. Okay?
Okay.
We're going to just exchange that. Okay. So, I mean, you can send me a bill now and we'll just trust that she'll call you either way, because it's great. And I hope she does it. I mean, anyone that has the resources, I think it's really profound and powerful, no matter where you are, because it's going to reflect to you where you are right now. And it's going to give you that opportunity to really see and acknowledge and grow from it.
It's the key principle also of you only get out what you put in. So if you're willing to really put in the work and go there, then you're going to have an amazing experience.
And I sure did. Remember when my guide said I had to go on a crying vacation?
Yeah, that was funny how they phrased that one.
I was laughing in my own head. I was laughing. But yeah, so I've been through, this wasn't the first trauma I've had in my life. And when you have traumas, your ego wants to protect you. It wants to say, well, don't let that happen again. Let's hold on tight to this so that it doesn't happen again. And I was holding on really tight because I wasn't expecting this to happen. I had already been through traumas. I already had abandonment issues. And then I feel like I'm getting abandoned again. And I'm like, why? And so my guide, very gently said, well, it's time for you to let that ish go. It's really time for you to just drop it and move on. And he said what was necessary was to go on a vacation and just really cry, release, feel the feelings, and then let them go. Stop carrying them around. Stop carrying these stories around with you. And I sure did. Within a month, I was on a plane. I don't have to let the past define what I'm experiencing right now. And I also don't have to be attached to the future in order to have a fully embodied experience right now. I can just be here and be myself and enjoy what is in front of me and really be present to it. And that's it. I can just feel good. And I had to do all of these sessions to figure that out.
Well, you did what you had to do.
I did.
I cannot tell you how much respect I have for you in doing the work and what was necessary. And I think that you're a prime example of someone who was presented with information and then you made a choice how you wanted to proceed with it. I believe you said after, when we were talking after the session, like, I mean, I got to go on a vacation to cry. I mean, like, well, I can see where you're coming from on that one. It does sound kind of like a waste from a materialistic point of view.
Yeah.
But you did it. You had a choice and you chose to listen to the suggestion that was given to you by your higher self. And I just have such respect for that because, yeah, it doesn't seem that appealing going on a vacation to go cry. I can do that in my car. Why do I have to go on a vacation to do that? But you did it. And I have tremendous respect for you just trusting the information that came forward. So hats off to you, Tangie.
I accept that. And you're absolutely right. Like, I was going through a divorce. I was learning how to be a single parent. I had moved 3 times in 3 weeks, living out of boxes when I made that decision. I didn't know where my income was going to come from. And I said, well, who do I want to be? Right? Like, how do I want to show up in this world? Does it have to be contingent? It doesn't. I can just go and I can heal and I can experience things in a brand new way. Because had I gone, like you said, on that materialistic vacation, what would I have gotten out of it? Some Instagram worthy photo. Maybe a little bit of extra sleep. But when you really invest in yourself, the returns are enormous.
So with that said, how can everyone work with you?
Well, I am a certified coach. And I'm also a consultant. It's easy to find me on Instagram because I have a very unique name. It's Tangie, and my last name is Nadimi. So my first name is Tangie, like Angie with a T in front. And my last name is Nadimi. And that's how you find me, at Tangie Nadimi. On Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook. I mean, you name it, I'm there. And you can find me using my name. And I think the easiest way to get in contact with me is either to go to my website, which is the same handle, tangienadimi.com, or to find me on Instagram and message me there.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I think you did an amazing job. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I just have such respect for you and the journey that you've been on. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing it.
And thank you for having me. And I really appreciate you saying that and acknowledging that. And that's exactly what I bring into my coaching, right? It's just, I've been through some stuff and I show up and I walk my talk and I am able to relate to people in ways that I never could in the past when I was still holding on to, anger and resentment and shame and blame. And so I'm able to really serve people going through all sorts of things in life. And that is what life is, right? We have experiences and we learn and we grow and we make new choices, and then new experiences come our way. So I believe it's really impactful and really helpful to have a support person. When you invest in yourself, the returns are, you can't even put it into words, what you get out of these types of experiences, especially when you do the work.
Well, I can put it into words for you.
Okay.
You don't have to come back and do it again. Well, at least that's what I believe.
There you go. So if you don't want to come back, come have coaching with me.
Or, if you want to come back and work on something new, but if you don't want to repeat the same lesson over and over again, go work with Tangie.
It's so true. Because when you get a new perspective of it, you shift everything. You shift your vibration, you shift your frequency, you shift your interactions with the people closest to you, and you shift your karma, and then you are able to go and create something else and stop being stuck in that pattern of creating the same thing over and over again.
Right? I guess really my parting words for today are going to be, you can teach an old dog new tricks.
I'm going to take offense to that.
Huh?
I said I'm not going to take offense to that. I'm just kidding. I'm not old. I'm very young.
It's like we were like the same age. This is where I need to work on my communication skills. I probably should have followed that up by saying, even if you're 80 and jumping into this work, it's okay. True. Go for it, because it's something you could potentially cross off your list to not have to do it again.
Yep. Because if you're 80, you're running out of time.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's great. Yes.
Thanks for making me look like an ageist there.
Sorry. Not my intention.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Tangie.
Thank you.
Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a session with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.